The immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on the Xbox Series S. Microsoft just unloaded on a bunch of news this last week about their new next-gen budget option for people that may want to consider jumping in and checking out what Microsoft has to offer with gaming. And so I have definitely some strong opinions about what I think of this new option, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and the information that you need to know before you make a decision. And so there is a ton of information already out there about this new budget option. And so for people that don't know, Microsoft has pretty much given gamers two options for next gen gaming. Microsoft announced two models so far. The Xbox Series X, that's like their heavy hitter at a $499 option. And then also they just announced the Xbox Series S. And so this is kind of a light version of next gen gaming, and it is going to be $299. And so I think that $299 price point is going to attract new gamers to Microsoft. And so I actually think this is a good idea. This console really isn't something for me per se, but I might consider it as an option for another media device in my household. That $299 price point for a next-gen console, I think it's really important. I also think that Sony may not have an option at that price, and I think Microsoft's really trying to cater to that conscious budget person who doesn't want to spend a lot on new hardware or may not be with Microsoft yet. And so I actually think this is a great idea, and I think it's smart that Microsoft is giving that option for gamers. And so let's look at that console. Man, it is ugly. So I mean, the thing is, I don't like the look of it. I mean, and I've seen the memes out there. There's tons of people making fun of it. It does look like a cheap speaker. I think it definitely would have looked better with kind of like a white vent cover over like the Xbox One S. Oh, it's so confusing too. The name itself is very confusing. I know it's keeping with the other line, but oh my gosh. So yes, I think it looks really, really ugly with that black circle. But okay, you know, you don't look at your console, you play it. More importantly though, even though I do think it's ugly, I don't think that matters. It is the smallest Xbox that they've made, and I think that is huge. There's a lot of people with space issues. There's a lot of people that really don't want to collect, and they just want a game or they want to have a media box. And so I think this option is for those people. And so it is the smallest Xbox. I think that is really important. They show there's a lot of size comparisons on the internet. It's just it's a sliver of the Xbox Series X. And so but there's some sacrifices. And so if you're thinking that the Xbox Series S is everything that the X is, you're wrong. Okay? And so spec-wise, it is definitely less powerful. And so that's where it gets kind of confusing. And so there's a lot of comparisons out there. You know, up above here, there are the specs between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. And so the Xbox Series X is a lot more powerful, even though they do share some of the same architecture inside and components, but the Xbox Series X is a lot more powerful. And so but we haven't seen performance-wise exactly how less enhanced things are going to be. There's some other discussions that I'm going to talk about further in this video, but that is going to be an issue. And so it is going to be not performing up to par of an Xbox Series X. Okay, that's one thing. The big issue that I see with the Xbox Series S is the hard drive. The hard drive space of only 512 gigabytes is a big issue. Okay, these next gen games are going to be really large. Some of them may even be over 100 gigabytes, and so you're really only going to be able to fit half a dozen games, really full title, large AAA titles on your hard drive. And so, and we don't even know how much is available to put games. You know, it has to be an operating system, and so that is yet to be determined as well. So you might even have less space than that to actually put games. Now, there is options to add additional hard drive options to your console. You can use your current options, a USB, hard drive. You can plug it in. That's one option. Also, Seagate is going to have an expansion option where you can, but there's a problem with that because of the cost. And so adding additional hard drive space is going to up the price. Microsoft did announce the reason why it has a smaller hard drive is to cut down on the cost, but that because they're cutting down on the cost, that is going to limit how many games you're going to actually keep on your console. And so that is probably my biggest issue, right behind no optical drive. Okay, so it is smaller, it is cheaper because it doesn't have an optical drive, and so that means you can't add any physical disc that you have. 360, original Xbox, Xbox One, there's no optical drive. And so for some people that aren't collecting, that just want a game or just went digital already, no big deal at all. But for the others that play with optical discs and still have a decent collection, you can't with this. And so that's an issue, and that's probably the biggest deal breaker for me, and the small hard drive. There's been a lot of discussion about Microsoft and their approach, and really it comes down to Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate. And so really this is a great option for people that want to go that route. If you're not familiar with Microsoft's option, it's pretty much a rental service in which they provide, hundreds of games, and you pay a monthly fee and you can play those. The lower tier option is that you play it on a console. The higher tier option is you can play anywhere. And so that's pretty awesome that it gives you that option. And so the Game Pass Ultimate is really being promoted with these next gen consoles. And so if you're new to Microsoft, that's pretty much a great option that they provide. I have a few friends that just do nothing but Game Pass Ultimate. They don't buy any more games. They just wait for it to be on Game Pass and play it that way. It's pretty sweet. The other big news is that EA Play is joining this service in November with launch. And so EA is going to provide 60 of their high caliber games that on this service, FIFA 20, Need for Speed, Battlefield, The Sims, just to name a few. A lot of people are excited about that. It adds more value to paying a monthly fee of just playing games, but it's pretty cool. There's also another thing. Microsoft is offering a payment option for people to get a next-gen console for $24.99 a month for 24 months. It includes Xbox Game Pass, and you'll be able to get a next-gen console. The Xbox Series S starts at $24.99. It goes up from there if you want to get an Xbox Series X. I know, kind of confusing, but that's cool. It has a payment option for people that, with no money down, are able to purchase for not much more than what it would cost originally if you pick up a $300 console and the Xbox Game Pass service. So that's pretty cool. I have some numbers there. Also, they are giving an upgrade option for people that have an Xbox One S with this service, and you'll be able to upgrade to a next-gen console. So they really are trying to promote this as kind of an entry next-gen console for people that, want a game, but maybe not game all the time, or casually game, or just looking for a media box. So that's really cool. Getting back to the specs, I definitely think that this is definitely probably not an option for people that already have an Xbox One X. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really happy with how my games look. I really like how the Xbox One X upscales old games, and it just was announced that the Xbox Series S is not going to have the same enhancements as the Xbox One X. Holy cow, it's hard to distinguish that, but yes. And so we don't know how that is going to work. We don't know what that looks like yet. We're going to find out pretty soon. And so that's it. And so the specs between the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series S, I did a little grid and wanted to show the specs, and there's that. And so that's an issue. I think that the Xbox One X is less powerful than the Series S, but it's hard to determine how much. Is it a big bump? For me, it's definitely something, if I'm going to upgrade, I'm probably going to get the Series X. But for some people that may not have an Xbox, they may want to consider this. So I want to know your thoughts. Please comment below. What did you think of Microsoft's announcement? This is just some information for people to consider. I did this video because there's a lot of information. Some of it's confusing, and I wanted to break some of it down and discuss it with you. As always, thank you for the ongoing support. My channel is growing. Thank you for the growth. Let's keep it positive. Hit that like and subscribe button as I am uploading every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock. You take care.